So we're on the Ayin Aleph, 71. Yesterday we started Rav and Shmuel, and the Gemara is going to continue with that today. So let's back up a little bit. The Mishnah has different shiurim, different time limits for things that the husband did in a way that the wife has a legitimate complaint and the grounds for divorce. And it said about different issues about Mizonos and about Tashmish, how much he would have prohibited her in a way that is not tolerable. Here it spoke about food, and it said about for a month that she could be supported by somebody else. That's yesterday. The Gemara spoke about the details, how that's done, that a third party would be able to support her. But more than that is not tolerable. And then there's Machlokes Rav and Shmuel over here, right, in the yellow and the blue. Rav said that even though it's tolerable, let's say for 30 days, but that's only if he was known from the beginning. That's only going to be for 30 days. But if he made an indefinite vow, an indefinite way how she's going to be prohibited, even though it is theoretically possible that he'll annul the vow, he'll do hataras nedarim and he'll take it away. But she doesn't know about that. So the fact that she's in limbo and she might be indefinite, so then right away it's grounds for divorce. And Shmuel said, no, that wait out the time. If 30 days is still tolerable, so even though she doesn't know if it's going to last only for 30 days, still she should wait before demanding. She can't demand the divorce yet until they wait out the time. And 30 days came and he didn't retract the vow. Then she could complain. Then she has grounds for divorce. Yesterday we did the Gemara that said the same thing as by Tashmish Hamita, not just by support, also by relations. The same thing. Machlokes Rav says that if it was indefinite, you don't wait it out. And Shmuel says you wait it out, whatever the time is going to be, a week or 2 weeks. And the Gemara now continues by the two dots. It's not really a two dots, but the Gemara is going to continue the sugya. That's going to be today's sugya to try to prove Rav or Shmuel. So the Gemara continues really in our Mishnah. And besides the first case about not supporting, that he prohibited her from having benefit from him. But Mishnah has another case. If he prohibited her from having benefit from a kind of a fruit, Rashi says that it means any kind of any kind of a fruit. Others learn it means all fruit, whatever the pshat would be. That's grounds for divorce. And it doesn't give a time limit over here, even one day. If he prohibited her from eating a certain kind of a fruit, so she could demand a divorce. So the Gemara doesn't. The Gemara is very, very concise over here. It doesn't explain what the Gemara is. The Gemara doesn't explain itself too much, and I'm surprised that the Gemara expects us to be so smart. But Rashi and Tosfos, all the Mefarshim, they say that I'll explain what they say. And we're supposed to be very well versed in Hilchos Nedarim and the whole Gemara. A few lines, we're supposed to figure it out. But the Gemara needs to ask is, there's no such thing that a husband can prohibit his wife from eating fruit. Like, what does it have to do with him? And how does a person can I ask somebody to do something? There's no such thing. I can ask her myself. I can prohibit myself from benefiting something, or I can ask her my property or my being from somebody else to benefit from it.
We are in the middle of a discussion. The marriage now works because it comes out that the Durham disappear and
there's no such thing as I am going to answer somebody from eating apples. Who am I to say he shouldn't eat apples? I could say I'm not going to eat apples, or I could say that he shouldn't eat my apples. That I have a power on. And not the wife is also not different, right? That, yeah. How could he prohibit her?
Excuse me, Rebbe, your camera is off.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. So the introduction to this Gemara is that the two cases in the Mishnah, the first case was about that she shouldn't benefit from him. We had three cases in the Mishnah. We scroll back to the beginning of the parak. The first case was that he that he prohibits her from benefiting from him. Technically, that could work. Two friends, not such good friends, but two neighbors. One could say, I prohibit you to have benefit from me because he's a balabas on himself, and he could answer himself on the other person. He could say, I won't benefit from you, you don't benefit from me, all of my belongings. And the Gemara's problem was that he's obligated to her, he has to give it. That's other issues. But as far as the actual neder, that makes sense. It fits into the rules of a neder. He can ask for himself that you should not benefit from me. But to tell his neighbor, I prohibit you to have benefit from apples, like who are you? Yeah, only if you're prohibiting yourself or you're prohibiting your apples or something like that, but you can't prohibit somebody else on his apples. So what does it mean, the case that he's answering his wife from benefiting from tasting of fruit? What does that have to do with him? Also, the next case that she shouldn't adorn herself, kishutim. How could he ask her to have kishutim? The whole thing doesn't make sense. So the Gemara understands that we know this question and that we know the answers, the possible answers also. And the Gemara says, "Bishlam Rav, kan b'stam kan b'mefarish." These are the words. Bishlam Rav. The Gemara has a problem with Rav that there's something to do about the indefinite. Mefarish means that he explicitly said how long, and stam means that he made it indefinite, which really doesn't, very so short. And how are you supposed to know what the Gemara means? So Rashi tells us, and we'll see later on in the Gemara also, that the pshat is that there is a way to do it. There is a way to make somebody else usher in something that you have no connection to. What is it? He makes one thing dependent on the other. It's very much now the words that he says, if let's say relations, that here the husband, there is something that affects the wife. Can he answer himself to benefit from relations? Yes. He can't answer his wife to have relations with him to benefit because he's obligated to her. But could he answer himself to enjoy relations with his wife? He technically could. It's going to be a problem. That's the reason why it's going to be grounds for divorce, because he can't have relations. He asked himself having relations, and she is going to lose out. So that would be grounds for divorce. But did he make an neder? He made an neder because he asked himself to benefit from his wife, to enjoy his wife. So too, he could make something. He could indirectly make a neder that's going to prohibit her from eating apples. How does he do that? What does he have to do with her apples? He could say, if you're going to eat apples, I prohibit my enjoyment of you. So he made a link that he has no control for her to eat an apple, but he does have control that if you eat an apple, then I'm going to become usher to have benefit from you, and that she's going to lose out. And that the Gemara understands that that's what the Mishnah must mean. It doesn't even say that. He's supposed to understand when he said that he asked his wife to eat any fruit. How could he do that? He could make a link. He said that if you're going to enjoy a fruit, I'm going to become usher to have relations with you. So now she's in trouble. If she eats a fruit, she can't have relations. That's what the Gemara thinks it means. But the Gemara already puts in. But what's the problem? Let's say for relations, there's a time limit. There's a week or two, whatever it is. So how come that's grounds for divorce immediately? You should have to wait it out. Wait out the week.
The week or the 30 days.
Whatever it might be, right? So.
So did she eat the apple? Did he just say it? Because if she didn't eat the apple, then she's not ushered for anything, really. It's just.
But he's holding her back. He's holding her back from eating an apple.
No, I understand.
Let's say
he's not holding back from relations.
But she can't eat the apple if she wants to have relations, right?
I understand.
So you're saying, I think.
It shouldn't be grounds for divorce.
Why?
She should just not eat the apple.
No. If she says he doesn't, that the Gemara says to stop somebody from eating an apple is grounds for divorce.
Okay.
Like we would say, don't eat the apple. But as far as
maybe it's more than just one fruit. It would like
whatever it is.
a staple fruit.
It says, okay,
You
we're not
can't
going
tell her
to.
what
That's
to
a
eat.
side
Isn't that-
point. That's a
isn't that
side
the same
point.
thing like
If she
we had
ate the
before?
apple, then I understand.
What do you understand?
She ate the apple.
Yes.
Now he's not having relations with her. That's grounds for
It
divorce.
says grounds for divorce on the first day, only after a week. It still says that not having relations, if you made a neder to answer her relations for a week, is still tolerable, only more than a week. So that's what that's not what the Gemara wants. She can't tolerate not having an apple for a day. Okay, so eat the apple. What's going to happen? Now you're not going to be able to have relations. For how long? For how long? So according to Rav, that says that something which is indefinite, it's a grounds for divorce right away, even though he might be matan neder, then the mission is good. That she wants to eat the apple right away. She'll eat it right away. She'll become usher to have relations. It could be that during the week he's going to be matan neder, but that's not a reason why she has to wait. So that's how the Gemara understands the Mishnah according to Rav. That's all in these words. I don't know how we should have figured that out. That the waiting time of a week for relations is only if she knows the chatchil that's going to be for a week. But that was mafarish. But if it was stam, that he just said indefinitely, if he would have said that if you're going to eat an apple, then would become us to have relations for a week. Okay, then it's not grounds for divorce. Let her eat the apple, that she can't tolerate even for one day, and then want to have relations for a week. Okay, but if he said, if you're gonna eat the apple, then we're never gonna have relations. I'm never gonna be able to benefit from you. So then that's grounds for divorce right away, because she'll eat the apple right away, and then she is indefinitely usher in relations, even though it might be that'll be matan neder. Rav says you don't wait. So the Mishnah passes, and that is Rav's pshat in the Mishnah. We can stop here. We can stop the day. If you do Rav, the day's over. But Shmuel is the one who said that even in such a case, you wait it out. Maybe you'll be matan neder. So Elul Shmuel kasha. That's the problem. That according to Shmuel, the only way we thought that it's possible for him to ask her to eat apples is only by making a link to something which is relevant to him. But even that thing which is relevant to him, there's always a time limit. There's 30 days for mazonos. There's a week for tashmish. So why is that not eating apples is a ground for divorce immediately, since it's dependent on something which has a time limit? And even if it's indefinite, you still have to wait it out. So why should that be grounds for divorce immediately? We're supposed to understand all that in these few words. I think the Gemara has a lot of faith in us that we should be able to figure it out.
I'll add on to the question. Done is after Kesuvos. Unless you know,
But
if you know Mishnah is Kesuvos,
Also to figure that out, that he linked it, and it's very, very impressed that the Gemara thinks we're supposed to figure it all out. But that's the Gemara's kasha. So the Gemara is going to answer. We'll speak out the answer and then see it inside. There's another way how a husband can answer his wife in things that he has no connection to. And that is that she made the neder. Not that he made the neder. She answered herself. She prohibited herself on apples. So it's her business. Like what I do, you did. But he didn't nullify it. It means the husband has the power to nullify a wife's neder, like it says in Parshas Matos. A wife, a daughter, he could nullify the neder. And the fact that he didn't, that also might be the wife comes with complaints against him. Now all the men are thinking, what do you want from me? Like you did it. I understand. Right, this is the same concept. Right, the Gemara said the concept that when she makes a neder and the husband affirms it, he didn't veto it, so then she's angry at him. Because you could have, I was in a bad mood, I was depressed, and I said I'm not going to eat apples, and you agreed. If you loved me, you would have nullified. So they also grounds for divorce. That of course, examples don't make a difference, particular examples, but the point is that how do we have a case that he could ask her to eat apples? He can ask her to eat apples. She asked herself to eat apples, and the fact that he was masking and he affirmed it, or he didn't nullify it, he didn't veto it, that would be B'shan the Mishnah.
He's got the whole day to nullify, or just mamish in this part?
The whole day, as you said. What doesn't make sense?
She offered herself to eat apples.
And he affirmed
He could
it.
be out of the country.
No, if he's not there, it's not a problem.
Oh, he's not.
Then it's her issue, and then she's that nothing to do with him. But if you the day that he hears about it, by the time he finds out about it, he has the right to nullify it within 24 hours that day. And if he didn't, so she says, "What kind of husband are you?" And then she could demand. Then she could demand again. So what do? The Gemara, we got out of the problem. The whole problem we were pointing at school because the Gemara thought the only way that he could ask her to eat apples is only when he linked it to something else which does affect him. And then the kasha was, according to Shmuel, so wait it out. Shmuel holds you have to wait it out because he might nullify his neder. He might retract his own neder, not nullify. He might be matan neder. He might retract his own neder. But so the Gemara gets out of it. There's another.
We don't hold the halacha is not that Shmuel, no? It's just sorry.
I'm not sure what you want about the. You want to know what the halacha is?
It's not that Shmuel.
Okay, but okay, but there are two pshat in one.
It's forever. She cannot eat apples.
Unless she's matan neder.
Why can't she just be matan neder? Why does she have to get
No.
divorced? Just instead of saying that she's angry at her husband, just say I'm matan my neder. Yes, I'm angry.
She has to. The matan neder means she has to go to Bezdin and find if there's a legal loophole. And also, we're going to see at the end of the Gemara that the issue that's going to give away. Not to put it in the freezer. Don't take this too seriously now because the Gemara doesn't know it yet. The end of the story might be that she says to her husband, "You don't love me." That's nothing to do with the apples. It has to do with that if you don't care about my apples, so you don't love me. So-
I've been there and done that. It's just unreasonable as ever.
The
Okay.
2000 was a
Thank
little
you.
askew, not a-
What is that?
It was a little askew.
Thank you. But the Gemara might not know that. Let's put that in the freezer. That might come up later. But anyway, that's to get these two pshatim. Just the Gemara is going to be pretty intricate today, but just to get Yisod. The Mishnah has cases where the husband asks his wife to do something. Like, who are you? He asks her to eat apples. He asks her to put on certain makeup. So how can you do such a thing? You can't ask somebody else to do that. Even your own wife, you can't ask her. So the Gemara has two possibilities. These are the two possibilities. One that he linked it. He linked it to something that does affect him, which means doesn't affect him, that he has authority over. So he asked her to eat pears. If you can eat pears, I can't ask you to eat pears. But if you eat pears, then I'm gonna ask myself on relations. And that Rav could learn the Mishnah like that, and the Mishnah flows. But Shmuel says that wouldn't be a reason for divorce right away, because since it's only dependent on something which itself has a time limit, so wait it out. Maybe you'll be mataneder. So there's another way to learn the Mishnah, that the way that he asked her to eat pears is because she made the issur that he eat pears, and he agreed to it. And that agreement is also enough reason that she could demand the divorce. And Shmuel says it has nothing to do with the subject of linking it, no linking. If it's linked, then it'd be a kasha and Shmuel. Why divorce right away? Wait till the 30 days. That's the more or less the end of the Gemara. If everybody's happy with that so far. Those are the two pshatim in the Mishnah. The Gemara says, the Gemara now goes into a subject. The rest of the page here, Amud Aleph is going to be, is that true? When she made a nether and he affirmed it, is it called, is his fault, he did it? Or is it still called, you did it? And that's going to be the discussion called, did she put her finger between her teeth and bite on it? Or did he put her finger between her teeth and made her bite? Like, he's the one who, that's the expression called, who knows in Espa Ben Shinel, or he knows the Espa Ben Shinel. Who is the one who's responsible for this situation that she's not allowed to eat the apples? Is it her, or is it him? The suburb of Meir, who knows in this, but Ben Shinel, our Mishnah, Stamish says Rav Meir, doesn't say the name of Meir, but Stamish says Rav Meir. So our Mishnah must hold that it's considered his fault. And she comes to the complaint, it's his fault. She made the nether and he affirmed that it's his fault.
Like we say, he put his foot in his mouth.
I thought that was that, but maybe it has something to do with the shineh. Sounds like there's a bite. Someone bit on her finger. I think it's her finger and it's her teeth. He put her finger between her teeth.
Put her finger.
Between her teeth. Means that.
Put her finger between her teeth.
I think so.
He's responsible.
He's responsible. Or the other side is going to be she put her finger.
He put his foot in his mouth. Means it's all this kind of, he said something that he would regret. So here he didn't say anything, but it's like he's responsible. And he's regretting something. Okay.
So our Mishnah, it says that in this case it's his fault. Our Mishnah Rav Meir is going to hold that this is called that it's his fault. The Mars Akasha, but the Rav Meir we find differently. Rav Meir does not hold that it's his fault. It's considered her fault. But Tanya, a woman made a net that she's going to become a Nazira. That's like abstinence, and she's causing herself pain. And the husband heard about it and did not nullify it. Rav Meir, Rav Yehuda Omrim, here's Rav Meir. We're looking for Rav Meir. Rav Meir, Rav Yehuda Omrim, he knows that's what benching now. It's her fault. It's her fault. If she made a nether and he affirmed it, or he didn't nullify it, in other words, so it's considered her fault. And the ramifications of that are the fikach. He has the ability to be made if he wants to. She made herself a nazir, and he could have been made. He could have if he wants to. But if he doesn't want to, he could say that I don't want a wife who makes nedarim. That's a grounds for divorce. If a woman is making nedarim the whole time, the husband has a grounds for divorce. And this is, she can't tell him it's your fault because you could have been made and you didn't. He says it's your fault. You made the nether, even though I didn't nullify it, but you made the nether, so it's your fault. And I don't want a wife who makes nedarim. We're just talking about whose fault is it. So a man of to say that it's her fault. It's attributed to her. That's going to be the most contradiction. And now Mishnah of Meir is saying that it's his fault. Here Meir of Yehuda say, maybe I'll highlight it just to show that. Here's what Meir by us says. Part of that continuation was Rav Meir holds, who knows in this what benching now? I'm sorry, I highlighted the wrong thing. Take that back. It's green over here. Because of Rav Meir, who knows in this what benching now. Here we have Rabbi Meir says who he must know now. There it is. And the ramifications over there is like a divorce, so that's not the subject. We just want to know whose fault is it considered when she made a neder and he affirmed it. He didn't nullify it. So in our Mishnah, if you want to say the case is that she made a neder not to eat apples and he affirmed it, that's the reason why it's his fault. It's a contradiction because Rav Meir himself over there says that it's her fault. Over there, the Bryce continues. Rav Yossi, Rav Elazar Omrim, who knows in his Babenchina. Over there, Rav Yossi, they're the ones who take the opinion that it's his fault. And Lefikach, since according to them it's considered his fault, he has the ability to, he could have been Mefer, but if he doesn't, then he can't say, I'm going to divorce you because you're making the Dorim. If he wants a divorce, he has to give Ksuba because it's his fault, it's not her fault. Anyway, that's the end of the Bryce and the Marza Kasha. In Shmuel, in order to explain our Mishnah, you have to say the case is that she made a neder and he affirmed it, and it's considered his fault. But Meir himself says that it's considered her fault. That's a contradiction. In order to get out of the contradiction, we have to amend the Bryce over there. We have to change the Bryce to something. The way it is now, it's a contradiction. Here you have a Meir that says one way, and there you have a Meir that says the other way. That's a contradiction. So the Gemara says, April, okay, switch it around. Before we had the Meir Rav Yehuda on one side, Rav Yosef on the other side, switch them around. April, Rav Meir Rav Yehuda Omrim, who knows thing? Rav Yosef Rav Elazar Omrim, he knows not, just to make it fit with our Mishnah, with the pshat of our Mishnah, that Rav Meir is the one who says that it's his fault. So we'll say that the Rav Yehuda, the one who says that it's his fault, and change the Bryce. It's a mistake. The Bryce is not as accurate as the Mishnah was. Everything was Valpeh, everything was oral, given over orally in those times. So it could be it was a mistake. So we'll change it around. Rav Meir Rav Yehuda, the one who says that it's his fault. Rav Yosef Elazar, the one who says that it's her fault. But the word continues, that's not enough. And as we remember in our Mishnah, besides being a mayor in our Mishnah, you also have Rav Yehuda and Rav Yosef. The Gemara's kasha is, the Sofer Rav Yossi, he must now, we're going to Rav Yossi now. The Sofer Rav Yossi, he must not, but not Rav Yossi Omer, V'aniyo Shalom Nasin Kisva. And our Mishnah, Rav Yossi also talks. Our Mishnah talks about how long is that could a woman tolerate not having cosmetics. So there was a Mishnah about not having food and then not having payros. That's our Mishnah now. And the third part of the Mishnah was about not having cosmetics, kishutim. And Rav Yossi spoke up. Rav Yossi spoke up, and that means that there's also Shmuel's going to have to say all these cases is talking about that she made the neder and he affirmed it, and he's saying that it's his fault. So if you switch it around, now you get in trouble with Rav Yossi. This is like playing chess. You make one move, you make the other move, the other move, the other move. So first the Gemara said, Rav Meir, he says it's his fault. Here Meir says it's her fault. So we'll switch it around. That also doesn't help you because Rav Yossi now you're going to make it be that it's her fault, and now Mishnah says that it's his fault. And Rav Yossi Mishnah and so it means there is something in the Mishnah over there about Rav Yossi talking about that is grounds for divorce, and you have to say according to Shmuel that the whole case is only where she made the neder and he affirmed it in order not to make any link cases. So that's a contradiction again. Okay, the Gemara is willing to even amend the Brisa further. Who knows? Okay, because of that problem, we're gonna have to amend it even more to make Rav Meir and Rav Yossi, both of them are the ones who hold that it's his fault. Okay, and we'll make the other two, Rav Yehuda and Rav Elazar, are going to be the ones who say that it's her fault. The Gemara is still not happy because don't forget there's Rav Yehuda in our Mishnah also. The sub Rav Yehuda he nasna batanan. Rav Yehuda. I'm sorry, Rabbi. Let's see, Rabbi. Okay, Rabbi. No, I'm not on. Rabbi. I'm sorry for all this waste of time. Rabbi Yehuda Omer. Yisrael Yom Echad Yikayim. Rabbi Yehuda says in the Mishnah also he talks about that the neder took effect and it's his fault and how much could she tolerate. But you see, Rabbi Yehuda is also talking about that the neder takes effect. And we're saying now, according to Shmuel, the case is talking about that she made the neder and he affirmed it. And it's saying in our Mishnah that it's his fault. And he is saying that Rabbi Yehuda holds that it's not his fault. We have already Rav Meir, Rav Yehuda, Rav Yossi, they're all in our Mishnah, and they're all saying, according to Shmuel, you have to say all of them hold that it's his fault. And somebody says over here that it's her fault. The way we had it originally, it was Rav Meir and Rav Yehuda. Then he switched it around, so it's Rav Yossi and Rav Elazar. Now he switched it again, and you're saying, still Rav Yehuda still not on target. So Gemara says, okay, we'll make a big change. Ema, Rabbi Meir, Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yossi, who knows saying, even though the Bryce says 2 against 2, we'll switch it and make it 3 against 1. That Rabbi Meir, Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yossi, all of them hold that it's his fault. Only Rabbi Elazar hold that it's her fault. In order to reconcile this with our Mishnah, because in our Mishnah that Shmuel has to learn that it's all talking about that she made the neder and he confirmed it. So you have to say all of them hold that it's his fault. If you want to keep that it should be 2-2, it's a very big amendment, editing it to say that it's 3-1, because it had 2-2. To change the names, okay, it's one thing, but to make that it's 3-1, that's really
Why that easy to change the name?
because in the way that was given over, to say that they made a mistake, they had 2 and 2 and they got mixed up who said what. But to say that it's 3-1 and there was quoted completely off, that's a bigger change. So we could say that it's 3-1, but if you want to keep it 2-2, we could say that the Amish is Aramay. It means that Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Yossi are openly an Amish, that they hold that it's that the neder takes place and it's his fault, so you can't change that. Rabbi Meir doesn't say openly an Amish, Rabbi Meir. It just says it's a Stam Mishnah. Usually a Stam Mishnah, when you have a Mishnah that doesn't have any name, usually it's Rabbi Meir, but it's not 100%. So we can get out of that, wiggle out of it, and say that the mayor is not talking in our Mishnah. He would hold that it's her fault. But the view that Yossi, you can't get out of it, because they say openly in our Mishnah that there are cases where the neder takes effect, and the point to Shmuel, you can't say it's talking about that it was linked to tashmish or to food, because he holds that an indefinite link was left to wait it out. So he has to say it's talking about that she made the neder and he affirmed it, and you have to say that it's his fault. So Abiyuda and Yossi surely hold that it's his fault, and the Tanakama, if it's a mayor, then you have to change the gears over there. So far, the Gemara is happy. At this point, the Gemara stops, and Shmuel also got out of it. Shmuel said the case of the Mishnah is not linked. It's a case where she made the neder and he affirmed it, and they have to hold that it's considered his fault, and therefore she has grounds for divorce. The Gemara goes on to ask Kash. The Gemara is still asking on Shmuel. We got up here till the pink over here. We got up till 4 lines to the bottom, 5 lines to the bottom, and now the Gemara is continuing to attack Shmuel. V'sava Rabbi Yossi ba'nio shalonos and kitzvah alma ba'al motzi meifa. If you say the Mishnah, the Pshat is like Shmuel said, that the reason that he has ability to answer her is not because he linked it. That the link we said according to Shmuel, the whole link Pshat doesn't help according to Shmuel, because you have to wait it out. Only according to Rava does that Pshat go. Shmuel has to say the case is that she made the neder and he affirmed it, and therefore it's held against him. Why did you affirm it? But the Gemara goes into this point that not every neder can a Baal nullify. That we're going off into a side subject now. Pashas Matos says that husband can nullify the vows of a wife. Not every kind of a vow. And we're going to get into that subject now. And if it's a kind of a vow that the husband cannot nullify, so then she has no complaint against him. Why didn't you nullify it? I couldn't nullify it, my dear. Right? Yes, add that on. I couldn't nullify it. So it's if you're going to learn Pshat in the Mishnah, this thing about the payros and about cosmetics, that it's the reason why it take effect is because she made the neder and he didn't nullify it. It has to be that he could have nullified it. And the Gemara is going to ask now that the Yossi holds that he cannot nullify such a kind of a neder about not wearing cosmetics. The Sabra of Yossi in Nir Shalom in Kitzvah over there is talking about cosmetics. That's what it says. It says the word kishutim. Kishutim it says.
Yeah.
And the shalom is kashet. So Tanakama says if he made a neder not to, that she shouldn't have kishutim, which usually means cosmetics. So then grounds for divorce. If she says it depends if she's rich, if she's poor. For poor people, 30 days, and for rich people, 30 days, and for poor people, only if it was indefinite. That's what the Mishnah says. But that means that he could have nullified it. That must be that the husband has the ability to nullify such a neder. That's not true. Obviously, he can't. The following things are the kinds of vows that a husband can nullify. Kinds of vows that one is afflicting himself. So why does the husband have a right to take away, to nullify vows that are self-afflicting? Because he doesn't want a wife who's self-afflicting. He wants to have a happy wife. If she's going to be afflicting herself in ways that make her depressed, so he doesn't want that. The example, in merchatz and lo erchatz, in meskashet and lo eskashet. 2 examples of things that are considered inui nefesh, self-affliction. One is washing. The issue of washing. If someone's going to say, I'm not going to wash.
That's
The words
an affliction.
That's an affliction. And also emiskashet and moskashet, which means cosmetics. If the woman is going to say that I'm not going to put on makeup and things like that, so that also is considered self-affliction. And the husband says, I don't want it. But Rabbi Yossi argues, on Rabbi Yossi, ain't able to do nefesh is not considered self-affliction. What is considered self-affliction according to Rabbi Yossi? Bottom line, not to eat meat, not to drink wine, and not to wear colorful clothing. That's considered eating nefesh. Not to wash or not to put on cosmetics. That's not considered eating nefesh. Only meat, wine, maybe other foods also, and not to wear colorful clothing. She's only going to wear black or white. That's considered eating nefesh for a woman. But anyway, what does the Gemara want? That the Mishnah, which now you're narrowing down, that according to Shmuel last week, talking about that she made the neder, and the time of husband is, why didn't he nullify it? Rabbi Yossi is talking, and Rabbi Yossi holds that he can't nullify such a neder if you say because kishuta means cosmetics. So there's a short circuit over there. Shmuel can't read his shot into the Mishnah. It must be like Rav, that the case is that he linked it to Tashmish, and that it's you don't wait it out. That'll be a proof to Rav.
This is a problem for Rabbi Yossi.
It's a problem for Rabbi Yossi according to Shmuel. We're not attacking Rabbi Yossi, we're really attacking Shmuel. This all goes back to the beginning of the sugya that Shmuel said that an indefinite neder, you have to wait out before it grounds for divorce. That he might be matan neder this time. That's how the sugya started yesterday. So the Gemara tries to get out of it. It's not going to work, but the Gemara tries to get out of it. Top line, there's a different thing that a husband also has the power to nullify besides self-affliction, and that is something that has to do with between them, something about the intimacy between them, something which affects their intimacy. And even the Gemara thinks that even Rabbi Yossi, that says that it's not called inu nefesh, but there might be something which is considered something that has to do with their intimacy, and then he would be able to nullify it. Rashi says the case of Bino Levina is going to be Sam HaMesha, as I say, Rashi on the second line of Rashi, that in order to remove the pubic hair that the woman would remove, that has to do with intimacy, and then he's allowed to nullify such a vow because it has something to do with him. The one thing is called inu nefesh, self-affliction. This is not called self-affliction that she doesn't shave her pubic hair, but it is considered the Ram Shabbeinu Levena. And that
what is some?
Some means a cream, a medicine.
Cream,
I made sure, as I said, what do they call that? A cream that takes away hair removal.
Hair removal.
Is a word for it? With a P, a L, and a D, the Lipitor or something like
I
that.
don't know.
Okay, some kind of word. What? It smells terrible. Okay, so that would be
That's
something
what
that the
the
husband.
meshir is. What's the
Meshir means to make fall, to make the hair fall off.
To make fall.
So the Gemara is trying to find that Rabbi Yossi also agrees that there are some kind of cosmetics that does affect him. Makeup alone or something, jewelry, that's not, but something that has to do with their intimacy. So then he could nullify the vow, and she made such a vow that she's not going to, and he affirmed it. That's when she has a complaint against him. But the Gemara says that's not so simple. Ella, second line. There's machlokas about this point. Machlokas on the Ram, the Gemara is going to bring now that not everybody holds like that. So if you hold like that, it's fine. But if not, then we're stuck because if Yossi doesn't have any kind of kishutim that affects the husband that he should be able to nullify. The Ifma we learned in not a Bryce, this is Amoron, things that have to do with their intimacy. That the husband does have a right to nullify that because it affects him. If he doesn't have the right, so that's a euphemism that the Gemara wants to, we should understand that the bala is not affected if the woman has pubic hair. Usually the reason why he'd want her to remove it is because it shouldn't affect him during intercourse. And the expression to say that it's not going to get affected is called that a fox does not die in his own foxhole. It means he knows the foxhole well enough that he's not going to get stuck in it. So too the husband, when he has relations, the hair is not going to affect him. So that's not called something that's affecting him, and therefore it's not a reason for the husband to nullify it. Anyway, what we tried, we're back to the first place again. That according to Rabbi Yossi, that kishutim is not a reason that the husband does not have the power to nullify it, and even intimacy also is not something that is affected by those kind of cosmetics, and therefore the husband has no right to nullify it. So the mission doesn't make sense. You want to say that the reason, how's the case? What's the case that the husband is held responsible for prohibiting his wife cosmetics? Why should he be responsible? She made the neder. He wasn't able to nullify it anyway. So it's not his fault. It has to be like Rav said, that he linked it to something else, which is food or tashmish, in a way that he does have power over it. And according to Shmuel, who says that he still would have to wait it out until the time limit, so this shouldn't make sense that he has to divorce right away. Ella, Chava Mayaskinan, the Gemara makes Ramsha go into Dalinu, the Kishutel, the Tashmish Amita. The Amra, the Yosef, Nos, Tashmish Shacha, Alai, Im Es Kashet. The woman, it's a fancy case, that the woman who said that I'm not going to take cosmetics, whatever it is, and if I do, then I'm prohibiting the benefit of relations with you on myself. Again, she's making also a link, but the opposite link. Before we talk about the husband made a link. The husband made a link that if you eat Paris, I'm going to ask her my benefit. I'm gonna ask her benefiting me to benefit from you.
Yeah.
That was how Rav learned the Mishnah, and everything was good. Shmuel couldn't learn that Mishnah, couldn't learn that because then you have to wait it out. You have to wait out the 30 days or whatever the 30 days was on us. So here the one makes a different cheshbon. She made the neder. She made the neder that she's answering something on herself, something that the husband couldn't nullify. But she said, how did she say? She didn't just say I'm answering cosmetics on myself. She said, I'm answering cosmetics in a way that if I use cosmetics, I'm going to prohibit the benefit of tashmish on myself. She can't answer her tashmish on her husband because she's reshubit to that. That's what I'll say in a second. But she could answer herself to benefit from the tashmish, which is going to, of course, end up that they can't have tashmish. And then the husband should have nullified it. Because he has to nullify it because it is affecting him. Yes, and therefore she has a complaint. Why didn't you nullify it? That the benefit, the enjoyment of tashmish with you should become also on me if I'm going to put kishut in. And the Morris goes on to say that such a thing would take effect. The fact that she asked her that she should have benefit, she has the right to do that. She wouldn't be able to say that you may not benefit from me because she's meshubah. That's what tashmish, marital relations is part of the marriage. So she can't. That's what the Morris started at the beginning of the paragraph. Whatever you're meshubah to, you can't answer.
If she wears cosmetics,
yes,
this is dependent on if she
yes.
wears cosmetics.
If she wears cosmetics,
then she's
her tashmish on herself, and then the husband should have nullified it. And if he didn't, she says, why didn't you nullify it? You did have ability to nullify it because it was dependent on tashmish. To the tashmish. Kedam Rav Huna, Kanadam Rav Kana, Anas Tashmishi Alecha Kofo Misham Shatu. If she prohibited the enjoyment of the tashmish on him, so then it's nothing. She has to be mishamish because the neder didn't take effect because she doesn't have a right to do that. She's mishubah to him. But if she said, "Anas tashmishcha alai," I'm prohibiting the enjoyment of tashmish on myself. She has a right to do that. It does take effect. Yofer, he has a right to get out. He can nullify it because he's allowed to nullify the.
She's not prohibiting tashmish. She's prohibiting
Yes, but he cannot. That means that the enjoyment, the physical enjoyment that she has from relations, she's making the same way she could prohibit the enjoyment of washing or heat or cold or whatever it might be. She's prohibiting herself the enjoyment of relations.
She's still having relations.
She said she's not. She prohibited it if she's going to put on makeup. Then she's prohibiting. She could have said.
Tashmish is one concept. It's
Right.
not tashmish is having sex and hamat is getting joy from
The joy from the enjoyment. Whenever there's sex, so there's enjoyment. So she said that I don't want to wear cosmetics, and if I do, like someone says, I don't want to smoke. So in order to make sure, but so she makes another. If I'm going to smoke, then I'm not going to be able to eat apples for 30 days, and that's too hard for him. That's what people do. People don't do it nowadays, but that's what people would do when they want to strengthen something. So they say, if I do this and this, so then I'm not going to be able to eat bread. I'm going to ask for bread on myself for 30 days. So she said, I wear cosmetics. I'm going to be good for 30 days. Yeah, yes. It goes to that. Yeah, that's the point. Yeah, but no, that and that's right. No, right. I know. The reason why I'm saying it is the reason why it says this way is because a neder has to answer a no. It's only a shvua. You can make a note and make a certain act, but a neder is not. There's no such thing as a neder. I'm not going to do something. That means something becomes usher. That's why it's expressed. That's why it's expressed this way.
Bothering me a little bit is like when a woman is raped. I thought we said that she doesn't get enjoyment.
That's not the case. It's talking about a husband-wife relationship. she's
She
answering
can't mentally not get hana.
when they have relations, she enjoys. And she's saying, I'm answering that enjoyment, so she won't be able to have
So
relations.
maybe she could divide.
No, with a husband,
You
no.
want to have
No.
relations, and I won't get,
No,
I'll
that
mentally not get enjoyment from it.
Hmm.
Even
That's
she's
a-
not
that's the
happy
question.
married.
Right?
Yeah.
Even when she's not happy married, she still has enough.
Yeah, the more even talks by rape also, the more even says that once she's into it already, also there's enjoyment, and she doesn't
And
want
she's
that
not a-
enjoyment,
yeah,
but she has
so
no choice. The more I talked about it,
Yeah,
that Yates, but
so we don't,
that,
that's,
they're not
here,
indivisible. Indivisible. But
okay.
anyway, what is the point of the Gemara? That she made the link. She asked herself cosmetics, and what did she say? That if I do take cosmetics, then Anas Tashmish is going to be also. I think what is pointing out that she has the ability to do that, even though she's Meshuvah to her husband, the Tashmish, that's only she can't ask her the Hana, her Hana, herself, she can ask her on the husband. You can't do that. You can't ask yourself on your husband because your husband, that's what marriage is. You have a shibud and ask her to benefit from his food because he has to give her food. So also, but if she did say that I'm answering the benefit, the enjoyment on me, that she has the right to do. So that, and therefore, you should have been able to nullify it. Anos tashmish Allah, Allah chakol v'misham shatu. Anos tashmish Allah, yafer v'fishayin. V'fishayin lachil and adam davar asala. We can't force them to do something which is asa. Means that she did prohibit herself to have the benefit. So she's asa. Okay, at this point, the Gemara is happy. The Gemara asks, okay, the Gemara is going to go through the few steps that we know already. So what did she say? That I'm not going to have cosmetics, and if I do, then I'm not going to have relations. So don't take take cosmetics. Like, what's the problem? So don't take the cosmetics. No, in Cain then she's going to be called a disgusting person, which means that not to have cosmetics is like a no-brainer. You surely have to have it. That's what the Mishnah says, that even one day, that's too much. And here, how did he answer her? He asked, how did he? Because she made the neder, and he didn't nullify it, and it was negated to him because she linked it to Tashmish. So v'tiskashet, now the Gemara is making the full circle now. Now we're getting to the v'tiskashet v'teyasa. So you have to have cosmetics. Okay, take cosmetics. No, but then I'm going to be Kasser and Tashmish. How long? So she becomes Asser, right? Indefinitely. She becomes Asser indefinitely. But according to Shmuel, back to the Kash again. But according to Shmuel, just because you're Asher and Tashmish is not a reason to get a divorce right away. Wait it out. Maybe you'll be Matan Eder within a couple of days. But so Gemara says, either Beis Shammai Shtei Shabbosos, either Beis Hillel Shabbos Achas. So that's the most kasha. If she uses cosmetics, she'll become Asher. So wait, according to Beis Shammai, wait 2 weeks. But Beis Hillel wait 1 week. Why is that a reason for grounds for divorce? Which is really why we started off in the whole beginning. That all these links, we said according to the Rav, the link will make sense in the Mishnah because once it's linked to Tashmish, indefinite Tashmish being Asr, so then it's a reason for grounds for divorce. We don't make, maybe someone's going to be Matan Eder. So here too, the same thing. I'm sorry, and Shmuel, and here also makes sense. But according to Shmuel, that you do say, wait it out, maybe someone will be Matan Eder. So we're back to the Kash again. Shmuel is back in trouble again, since he holds that even when it's an indefinite Neder, you wait it out because maybe it'll be Matan Eder. So here too, even though she made this neder, I'm not going to have cosmetics. If I do have cosmetics, I'm going to become Asr and Tashmish indefinitely. But still, she shouldn't have ground. And the husband affirmed it. And the husband affirmed it. But it shouldn't make a reason for the grounds for divorce right away. She'd have to wait it out. Maybe she'll be Matan Eder. And then meanwhile, the Gemara comes to the answer. There's a difference between when he makes the neder or when she makes the neder and he affirms it. And this is a big yisod b'chol. There's a difference between anger and hate. There's a difference between anger and hate. When the husband is angry, she understands he's angry. Okay, he went off the handle. So in a couple of days will calm down, everything will be good. That's why there's a reason why she should wait it out. Because even though he made a neder, maybe he'll find that in a couple of days he'll calm down and it'll be Matan Eder. But here that she made the neder, he wasn't angry. He was the regular state, normal. She made the neder. And he didn't nullify it, he affirmed it. Then she starts thinking he wasn't angry. Why did he not nullify it? Because he doesn't love me. He hates me. On a regular basis, not on a one-time thing that he had a burst of anger. So then she says, I can't tolerate it. Big yisod.
why don't you say that maybe he just tried, he's saying, you said so and so, I'm not gonna.
If you love me, then you don't make me do silly
Show,
things.
so show the person has to deal with all the.
All the
silly things.
Michigan, yeah, that's what they're saying. The Holy Yisod is saying that the wife did something to herself, but she wants her husband. Sometimes the wife even says that she does it dafka to see if my husband loves me. Is he going to nullify my neder? She'll do something that I'm not going to eat steak anymore. And he says, no, my dear, you must have steak and nullify the neder. He has to show that he cares about it. So if, even when nothing's bothering him, he's not in a bad mood, he's not angry. She made the neder and he doesn't nullify, that bothers him much more than when he's angry and he made a neder out of anger because you might come down.
She's testing if she loves him, even after they're married a lot of years.
That also could be. I don't know if it's a test, but this
Yeah, I
is
don't know, it's not necessarily. a test.
I was saying something about a test. That's something else. Sedic Mordor say a test. Sedic Mordor says that this is the nature. When he's angry and he makes a neder, she can tolerate that, and she thinks that now he's angry, he'll calm down and it'll be mata neder. That's what Shmuel says. You have to wait. Maybe he'll calm down, and she's not a reason for divorce yet. Wait. But if she made the neder and he wasn't angry, he was regular. Come on, regular day. She might have been in some extreme mood, but he wasn't. And he still affirmed in that, though he didn't nullify it. So then she thinks that he hates me then. And if he hates me, then it's not to wait for him. There's a difference between anger and hate. We shouldn't have either. But the Gemara makes this distinction that the anger is only temporary, but the hate, if he's not angry, so why is he not taking care of me? That means he doesn't love me. That's the end of the Gemara.
When you make a neder, let's say on yourself, which you have a right to do, but it affects someone who you don't have a right to make a neder on. I think it's impossible that it won't. Isn't that in effect making a neder on that other person?
No, because I have the right to make a neder on myself. I don't have a right to make a neder on somebody else. I can't make your usher to eat apples, but I could do
Let's say
something.
you don't have a right to make a neder on him, like in the case of sex. The
Yes.
wife says, puts it on herself.
That
You're not gonna
I'm
have sex
right. So
with
it's
him,
right
But in effect, she has done something
to him,
illegal.
right? But it works. It takes effect, and then then the husband has grounds for divorce. The husband says that I can't have relations. So that's true. That's true. But the neder took effect because she didn't.
She did it on herself.
She did on herself. If
On
she
her
right.
husband, it wouldn't take effect.
Right, if
Even
she
though
says,
it's
she
exactly
can't,
the
right,
same
no,
thing.
yeah, she can't answer the hana of her body on her husband because her husband has rights to that. But she answered herself. She answered
In
her,
effect, it's doing what she
right,
wouldn't do
that's
anyway.
right, that's true, and directly, and then it comes and says, so I can't live with you, and then that's true, but the neder took effect because she is authoritative over herself. But okay, that's the end of the Gemara. So it came out that Shmuel wiggled out of discussion. It means we started off with a machlokus and went through the Mishnah to see how each one's going to learn. Each one has a pshat. Rav says that if there's a neder on her, which is indefinite, even though it might be matan neder in the course of time, Rav says you don't have to wait. If it's indefinite, that already is a pressure, and she doesn't have to wait. Maybe he's going to matan neder, or maybe we'll calm down, and she can ask for a divorce right away. But according to Shmuel, she has to wait it out. And the Gemara went through the Mishnayos that according to Rav, you can learn the Mishnayos that it was linked to Tashmish in a way that was indefinite, and therefore it's a reason for divorce right away. But Shmuel would say all those cases wouldn't be a ground for divorce right away because wait it out. And the only cases where the Gemara found that there's a ground for divorce right away would be in this case. Either that she answered herself right away. She answered herself without any link. She answered herself, and he could have nullified it, and he didn't. Or in the case with the one went through all this because if Yossi holds that cosmetics is not a case where he could nullify it, then that'll be a case where she linked it to Tashmish, which does affect him. And the reason why Shmuel over there agrees that you don't wait it out is because it was not out of anger, so it must be out of hatred, and that's enough that she could ask for divorce right away. No reason to wait it out. The Mishnah continues. Rav Yossi Omer, Baniya Shalonos and Kisva. Here's talking about how long can a woman tolerate without having cosmetics. So it said that,
You
yes,
said
please.
before that about wash yourself or something. but
Yes.
that's not-
That's the question. That's called inu nefesh. That's called self-affliction. Tanakama holds that self-affliction, the husband everyone holds self-affliction, the husband can nullify the wife's self-affliction. What's called self-affliction? Not washing, was machlokus. Not washing, cosmetics. So Tanakama says
You would think that
it's surely self-affliction, maybe. I'm not getting into the details. I don't know. But the Tanakama, Tanakama says that not washing and not cosmetics is called self-affliction. If Yoshi says not eating meat, not drinking wine, or not wearing clothing, colorful clothing that women usually wear, that's considered self-affliction. So what did it talk about? If Yossi Yom Rabbanir Shalom San Kitzvah, it talks about how long is it considered intolerable not to have cosmetics. So Rabbi Yossi, Tanakama says,
For the poor, we're talking.
oh, so Tanakama says no difference, that no cosmetics is considered intolerable. And Rabbi Yossi says it depends on their bracket. If they're poor, only if it's indefinite, then it's intolerable. But if it would be something for a certain time, it is tolerable. And Tanakama says, and by rich people, 30 days. 30 days is tolerable, more than that is not tolerable.
No, we know that indefinite means there's no end. So why are we even asking how long?
So the Gemara says,
We know that it means,
so
it's
let's-
asking
right.
how long is forever.
Leib Yaakov is talking about, I'm sorry, I can't. The Gemara now is going to ask the Kama Kitzvah. Leib Yaakov saw the words Kama Kitzvah. How long is that? Means the Gemara understands that's also has to have a limit. You can't say 35 years.
Oh, 35 years is also,
That's called indefinite.
you need to say 30.
Right. So what's the limit?
Uh,
So the Gemara understands that even though it says only if it's limitless, that also means something.
Something has to mean something.
Some Ravida Mashmuel, you base Chodesh. That's called Ein La Kitzvah. Once he said that, that's called, if he said 12 months, that's still tolerable for a poor woman. But more than that, if he said more than a year, then it's intolerable. It comes out that for a rich woman, it's going to be 30 days, and for a poor woman, it's going to be a year. That's considered the maximum. By a rich woman, more than 30 days is intolerable, and for a poor woman, more than a year is intolerable.
Okay. And then does a year mean like 3 years?
12 months, it says 12 months. No, 12 months, 12 months. 12 months is
12
12 months.
calendar months.
Rabba Bar Yochanan, Rabbi Yochanan, Eser Shanim, 10 years. But if she has only 9 years or 10 years, so then she can tolerate it. But more than that, that's already indefinite. Rav Chisda Amar, V'imi Rego, one chag,
Regel.
Rego, chag. Even the poor woman, one chag means usually they get dressed, they get cosmetics every chag. So one chag is okay. She'll miss one chag, but to be do more, she came with Nurse Israel, Mustachos Rego. That's the norm that they should get cosmetics and get dressed up on the chag. And if she, that's called Ein Lo
I thought
Kitzvah.
till means till.
Till?
regular, I thought.
Let's see, Rashi. No Rashi? No Rashi. You want to say that Rego is already called,
Till red, that's what I thought. You could
That is-
make the
Okay.
measure till regular. Once it's
once it's the Rego, then it's
off
called
the limit.
already over the limit. That's called already indefinite. Okay, could be. Once it's a Rego, that's even everybody's Muskaship Rego, and if he included the Rego, then it's already intolerable.
Then
Okay, it
says,
sounds better.
He said, in no just like the sketch out of every kind of the regular.
Okay, that
Who
means
says
that the Pirush commentary. So,
Rabbi affirms it, so that's what counts.
but that means that will be considered already indefinite. If she has to go through the river without cosmetics, that's going to be too much. That's ain't like it's even the poor women, they have to have cosmetics during the regular. The Mishnah continues. Uvashiros lamed yom. Ma'ishna lamed yom. How come 30 days is a limit by rich people? We might have said because she can tolerate so much. It wasn't even that now. That when they put on the make these cosmetics and these fragrances, these perfumes, so it lasts for 30 days. So she still has something. I don't know what they didn't wash the whole time. I don't know. But perfumes will last for 30 days. So therefore, even if she'll hold back for 30 days, she still has from last time that she put on.
The honeys is that there's the hana.
Nenis.
The
She
hennis.
means she benefits. She benefits from
From the
word,
reach of
right.
the kashute.
right. The word hana means really benefit,
She
not just
benefits
enjoyment, not
30 days.
enjoyment. She benefits from that reach, this fragrance of her perfumes for 30 days. So therefore, she still has it. But after 30 days, then she can't take it at all. a little bit more time. Now also other intolerable things. If a husband made a neder in a way that his wife shouldn't be able to go to visit her father, I guess he had problems over there, so he doesn't want her to go visit her father. So what's called intolerable? The-
He can make that.
If he did it, how long is it considered? When if he made? The question is, Mike's asking, how can he do that? How can he tell his wife, like, you don't eat apples, you don't go to your father? So again, he has to be linked to something. It's going to be linked to something which he could affect him, so what was our shot in the Gemara? Either he linked it or she made the neder and he affirmed it. Those are the two possibilities we got. How he could ask her to do something. So here we're talking about what's the limit, what's considered intolerable. If the father lives in the same city as the daughter, so then the 1 month means that if it's for a month, that's still tolerable, but more than a month, that's intolerable. Means usually they would go to visit their father once a month, and he's stopping her, don't go for a month. Okay, so one time she'll miss. But
Assume that the father is a reasonable person. He's not. He doesn't like. He doesn't like make husband crazy.
Doesn't say this. Obviously, if he's making such a net, it probably has reasons why he doesn't want to go to her father.
Doesn't
She
matter.
comes back. Whenever she comes back, she's all, whatever. It's the reason why he's doing it. But she says it's intolerable. It's not reasonable to ask him to go to my father. It's not saying because the father's a nice guy. Father's a bad guy. But she wants to go to her father. It's normal that a woman wants to visit her father once in a while. So once a month, even though it's usual to go once a month, if you ask her for a month, it's still tolerable, but more than that is intolerable. And then it's grounds for a divorce.
No rich and poor.
It doesn't say a difference over here, right? It could be that it could be a right that Bezdin will go to Bezdin will say that this is that the father.
puts a spell on him every time he goes there.
Yeah, it could be. If the Bezdin will be able to prove that it's impossible, that I can't tolerate. It could be that, but without anything out of the ordinary, just a regular. So that's not fair that he should stop his wife from going for more than a month.
By the way, it just happens to be one of the signs of an abusive husband would be to forbid the wife to see her.
He's saying in general, it's
In
psychology
general,
today.
that
Well, we
is
know
a
now.
sign that a man is abusive.
Maybe they have 5 kids, and when she leaves, he has to watch all 5 kids. He can't work. And
Right, there could be reasons, but yeah, but
Because it's considered that he's painting her. He's painting her without
yeah, it
not
has
letting
to
her
do
go
with
to.
control,
needs
thing would be
controlling.
control. It's
Over his
control,
lunch.
control it.
Uzman should be a cheres if the father doesn't live in the same city, so it's not so normal anyway to visit him every month. Then they would go this on the regalim. They would visit the parents on the Chag. So 1 regal to miss is still tolerable, but 3 is not tolerable. Which really, of course, everyone's going to jump up. How about 2? It jumped from 1 to 3. Before we said 1 month, 2 months, whatever. But here you're going to say 1 regal, 3 regalim. What happened to 2? The more is going to ask the kasha. The next case, a mother or sister, if he prohibited his wife to go to a house of mourning, to make a shiva call, or to go to a celebration, to a banquet hall, to a wedding, that she can't go, he's stopping her socially. Again, how did he do that? How could he say you don't go? It has to be that he linked it to something, or that she made the neder and he affirmed it. So Yotzevita and Ksuba, that's also grounds for divorce, that he's stopping with nation because he's locking the door before her. It probably Pashtat means because he's stopping her social life, that she wants to be able to go to her friends, if for good or for bad, for Avelos or for Simcha. This is similar to what Chaim David said. But here it's not the case of visiting the father. Here it talks about going to these parties or whatever. He says that there's a reason why I don't want to go over there, because people over there are not good people. Then
So
Rishai.
here would be like a claim.
He has a claim against Rashi says the Gemara is going to explain. Probably it means that there are people over there that are not appropriate people. So then Rishai. Amala, Amanasha told me Laploni Masha Amati, O Masha Amati Lach, O Shete Mamala Mora Lashba, Yosibiding Suba. Another case, if he tells her, he's forcing her to tell somebody else, to reveal to somebody else something that was said between them, that he asks her something, if she's not, only if she's going to tell somebody, tell so and so what you told me. Probably she told him something.
He says to her.
He says to her that I'm answering you on something which he has control over, whatever it is, tashmish or food, whatever it might be. If you must say to so and so what you told me or what I told you. So also she's forcing her to reveal something which is difficult for her to reveal. Also, maybe it's
Forcing
going
her
to
to reveal.
something which is
That she
private
must say
business.
To
right?
Tamari that
He's
you should say
You should say what
something.
what you said to me, or what I said to you, and the Gemara is probably going to elaborate about that, or Osha Tema that you should fill up and empty out into the garbage, which the words alone would sound like just to do something for no purpose, just to fill up water and to empty out the bucket. He's forcing you to do something that has no purpose. The Gemara is probably going to
Humiliating.
okay, but the Gemara might be take this as a euphemism. We'll see later on what the Gemara says, but the words alone mean that he's forcing you to say something which is a private business, or he's forcing you to do something which has no purpose.
Could that be to do with the guy to a husband wants to, or vice versa, wants to take his spouse to a psychologist to? No, that's not the question.
I'm trying to listen.
Psychologist because she needs some kind of. He thinks she's a little crazy, but she thinks he's a little crazy, and he's got to go check himself out. And he says, "What do you want? It's not my life story," and vice versa. Or she says.
So again, you're saying there are exceptions to the rule. Same way the Mishnah said that if you could prove that going to this banquet hall is he's going to meet bad people over there, so that's exceptions to the rule. Usually, not going to the father and not going to be socially and revealing private business. These are things that the wife has a complaint that he's forcing me to do things that are not normal, and it's not. I can't tolerate that. He's saying if there are some cases that the Rav will say that you're supposed to, so that's not the subject of the Mishnah.
Long term, it's for your benefit. It could be good.
Whatever his benefit, her benefit, but the Mishnah not talking about the cases that. The Bezna will say that yes, you must reveal this thing, whatever it might be. The Mishnah, like the
What-
Mishnah
what
says,
was the third
what
Or the third case.
that you should fill up and empty it out into the garbage. The words alone would mean, without any fancy pshat, the words going to say fancy pshat probably, but the simple words would mean that he's forcing you to do something which is purposeless. Fill up a bucket of water and then spill it out. The Gemara is going to say it's a euphemism for something. The Gemara is a kasha on the case of going to the regal. It says one regal is tolerable, 3 regalim are not. How about 2? How good for kasha? It's self inherently difficult. Amit regal echadikaim, vashnayim yotzi, v'yitin ksuba, emos sefer, shlosha yotzi, v'yitin ksuba, vashnayim yikaim. It says first that 1 is tolerable. That means 2 is not. And then it says that 3 is not tolerable. It means 2 is. Amar Abaye sefer asan l'kahenes. Before we had in the Mishnah, before we said that Rabbi Yehuda says by a wife of a Kohen, you have to be more patient because once they divorce, they can't marry again. So that's going to be what the Mishnah means to say, that if the husband is a Kohen, so then we extended another month. It doesn't say in the Mishnah about a Kohen. You have to stick it in. That there's a difference between that sometimes 2 is yes, but 1 month for everybody is tolerable. 3 months for nobody is tolerable. And 2, it depends. For Ashes Yisrael would say that's already enough grounds for divorce. More than 1 month is not tolerable. But if it's a wife of a Kohen, so we'll say tolerate it another month because once they get divorced, they're not going to have to get together again.
And why is it? Oh, that's Rabbi.
Yeah, he's the one who said that the Kenneth should make an extension. Rabbi Ula Omar Lo Kasha, it depends how, what's the word? Another good word. How much she wants to go, how much she is running to her father's house. There are some women that are more pulled to their father's house. So then more than 1 month is too difficult. But a regular woman, 2 months is still tolerable. Only 3 months is not tolerable. So about the regalim over here, not the month, the regalim. That a woman who is regular, not redufa, she's not especially running to see her father. So then 2 regalim is still tolerable, 3 is not. But by redufa, that she very much wants to go to visit her father. So then 1 regal is tolerable, 2 is not. And the Gemara brings different.
What case is the last one? What's the difference between her and the one who's willing to go for 3 regalim?
We're saying that a woman, how much could she tolerate not to visit her father? If they're in a different city, in the same city, is a question of 1 month or 2 months, and 3 months sometimes. But they were talking about a difference. The father lives in a different city, so they didn't go every month. They wouldn't go by the regalim. And sometimes it's mashma that 2 regalim is already intolerable. Some places it says that 3 regalim is intolerable. That's the contradiction. So the Gemara says it depends what kind of woman. Some at one some state.
Just the second the case
sorry,
of 2
the word is
regalim.
reduced.
What?
We're talking about 2 regalim.
Right.
That's
the contradiction. That's the
Yeah,
contradiction,
yeah.
right? So in the case of
So
2
it depends on
regalim,
the woman.
right? That if she's a woman who is very much has a big urge to go to visit, so then 2 regalim is not tolerable anymore. But a regular woman, any redufa, 2 regalim is still tolerable, 3 is not.
So
The Gemara is-
redufa is the word I'm asking for.
Like road div.
Running after
right.
she feels that she has to go.
Why is it called rodif? What does it mean?
Running.
She's running after to she's
The Gemara usually
Usually it
says,
would be for a mother.
It's more or less an urge. So
the Gemara says over there in Psachim that when the first time that a woman gets married, the beginning of her marriage, she wants to go tell her father how much they love her. That's called Redufa.
uh-huh.
That
She wants to go to her father.
to tell her how much they like her in her new home.
um,
That's an example of a woman who's Redufa. Not all other reasons also. There can be other reasons why she's
how much
going.
her in-laws,
Yeah, her husband.
her husband's
that-
family, how much they like her.
Yeah. There can be other reasons also, but that's one reason why she's Redufa. The one reason pasuk.
That's it.
A little I got it there. As the Isi ben up to Motzei Shalom, pasuk in Shira Shira. Then I was in his eyes like she who found peace. Amr Rabbi Yochanan, Kikala Shlim says Shlema bebeis Chamia. Redufa leilach ulagit shvacha bebeis Avia. That's like a Kala, a daughter-in-law that was found perfect in her father-in-law's house, and she's running to tell her back home how much they are praising her. So that's a example of the Redufa that she's found Shlema. The was nationing Motzei Shalom, Nim says Shlema. This word Motzei Shalom, the was nationing as if she was found perfect. She was found Shlema. It could be that she was found to be a basula, she was found in her virginity, whatever the case might be, or she has good midos, everybody loves her, and she wants to run home. Nowadays, they have a telephone, and the daughter talks to her mother every day. But they didn't have a telephone, and they live in a different city. So she very, very much wants to go to be able to tell her family that they like me. That's called the case of a Redufa. And the more dashes that on the pasuk in church.
And we
One
don't, and we allow her to have that, we more likely to give her only.
She has more of a need, and therefore, one regular is tolerable, two is not. By a regular woman, two is tolerable, three is not. One more drash. It says on that day, Hashem says, you're going to, Tam Yisrael, you're going to call me Ishi, and you're not going to call me Baali. So the Pshat over there, they say, in the Pshat, they say because the Am Yisrael was doing Avodah Zarah, and they like that, they did the Baal the whole time, the Avodah Zarah Baal. So, but the Drash the Gemara is saying is there's two kinds of relationships between a husband and a wife. One is Baali, like my master, which is a kind of a relationship between a husband and a wife. Like now, that's the word
Yeah.
Baali,
That's Ishi.
my husband, and Ishi is more of an intimacy. There's intimacy between a husband and a wife. And on that day, Hashem says you're going to call me Ishi on a more intimate level and not Baali. That's the pasuk. Amr Rabbi Yochanan, Kikala shebebeis Chamia, Kilo Kikala bebeis Avia. The Gemara says that the daughter-in-law, once she's married, that's called she's ready by her father-in-law's house, which means her husband's house. That's called ready with intimacy. But the times of Kala bebeis Avia means she was an arusa, that she was married, but she did not yet move into her husband's house. Then the relationship is called Baali, my master. But they didn't have intimacy yet, so it's not called Ishi. We call the word intimacy, we call it Ishus nowadays even. The word Ishus means the relationship between a husband and a wife. So that's only after their Nisuin. That's called Ishi. But before, it's only called an Arusa. So Hashem tells Am Yisrael that on that day, you're not going to be only like an Arusa. You're going to be like an Asua. You're really going to be fully married.
The Kala that is not in her father-in-law's house is not like the Kala in her father's house.
That means in her father's, that she's Ishi is the level of being in her father-in-law's house. That means she's already married.
Yeah, she's already married, and that's more intimate.
Ish,
than
right,
when
but in the
she's
beginning, she was
just
no intimacy. It was just that she was Arusa. Then she was with Beis Avia. That's the level called Beis Baali.
Yofi.
Yashikach, everybody.
By Beit Chamia, meaning that she's more connected to her husband.
Yes.
Yeah, to her husband.
Right. To her parent, to her husband.
She's more, yeah,
Her
to her
husband.
husband.
Yashikach, thank you. We'll be back in a couple of minutes.
It says,
Where are we going today?